Well, the internet and social media have become a focal point for America's children. But what kind of impact is that having on them long term? Parents can try to limit their time on the internet, but that can be a lot easier said than done. So joining us to discuss the ramifications and with some tips is Joyce Marter of Urban Balance, a licensed psychotherapist and speaker. Thanks for coming in today. So you've been doing a little research on this, and you wrote an article about this, which is why we wanted you to come in. But what are we finding that's happening to America's children as a result of social media and the internet right now?
Well, what I'm seeing in my practice, and also as a parent, I have daughters who are 12 and 15. Like you said, they're glued to their cell phones, and it's a concern about their emotional and social development. They're always on their phones, so how are they learning how to communicate, to resolve conflict? How is this impacting their self-esteem or their sense of identity, or even simple things like kindness and etiquette?
They're not really learning about interaction and the give and take involved with it?
Right, the mutuality, empathy, how to reflect compassion and empathy in relationships, which I think is the magic wand in relationships, to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, imagine how they're feeling, and reflect that back to them, really promotes intimacy, and it resolves conflict.
And it's so interesting, too, because as we have learned through social media, that there are, people get into a back and forth tiff over something, say politics, but you really can't have a discussion there that really involves the emotions and the feelings that you're talking about. So our kids are kind of being misled about what relationships are really like. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Through texting and email and Snapchat, you're missing the person's emotional intention and response. And so it's a limited form of communication.
So what can we as parents do? What do we do about this? Because sure, it's easy to say take the phone away or take the computer away, but the reality is they need it for homework probably to do it. And I always found it was really difficult to actually take it away.
It is difficult to take it away, nor would I necessarily recommend that. I think Dr. Jean Twenge does a really nice job of explaining this concern in her book called iGen. She also wrote Generation Me. But I think it's important not to get in a power struggle. I think the kids need their phones. Like you said, it's a normal part of their culture at this point. We need it for safety and information. And I know people who've actually gotten physically in a power struggle over the phone.
I can imagine, right.
And that's, that's a slippery slope into physical violence, which is never okay.
Absolutely.
So I think it's much better to, try to set healthy limits and boundaries, but when it gets to that point, you want to detach, let go, give yourself your own time out, and then maybe call AT&T and stop their service for a week.
That's probably a good way to handle it, right? So it's not solely on you, you just cut the service off, right?
Right. I think set healthy boundaries, then detach. And it's important to be a healthy role model for your kids. You can't tell them to get off their phones if you're always on yours.
Good point.
And you want to set up some expectations in the household. No phones during meal times. You want to have no phones before bed so that they're having good sleep hygiene and they're resting before they go to sleep. I have a friend who's kind of my hero, and when kids come over to her house, she has them put their cell phones in a basket. And my daughter jokes, she's like, it's kind of annoying, but we did have a really good time.
Right? That's a good idea.
It is a good idea. And if you make it just, hey, this is the way it is at our household, then you're supporting them communicating and talking to each other instead of Snapchatting while they're sitting next to each other.
Now, I can just see a teen saying, well, no one wants to come over, Mom, because you won't let them have their phones, right?
Right. It's a balance. And I think all we can do is make small efforts and small steps to make some shifts. Talk to them about why it's important to unplug. And I know it's ironic, but I believe in the apps like Calm and Mindspace that help with meditation. So it's kind of funny to be using an app to help with mindfulness, but it's a good way to teach them about meditation and deep breathing and other things that are going to help them relax.
Okay, Calm and Mindspace. And if people want more information on Urban Balance, where do they go?
urbanbalance.com.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. Always have some good advice.
Thank you,
Definitely
Sylvia.
good advice for all of us, for our teens and for ourselves too, right?
Thank you.